It's Sunday, and I did one of the normal meetings I spoke at in San Antonio, and one of the guys was really going off, because you know how some members of the Bible Belt can really make things irritating for people who want to live their own lives. I'm a believer, and every time I come across someone who says they're a Christian and they want to down or dog marijuana, I say, do you believe in the Word of God? And if they're Christians, they better say yeah. And I go, okay, let's go to Genesis 1:29. And God said, see, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food. And it talks about for the beasts as well, but it says, I've given every green herb for food. And it was so. God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. Not good, very good. And they'll stand down. They have to stand down, because they better stand down around me, because I'll get into a good debate with them. I was a police officer for a number of years. This is one of my advertising print posters that I put out regularly in the San Antonio, Austin areas. You've got to be careful when it comes to lawyers, because lawyers market. A lot of lawyers who aren't good market. I just say that I have to back up what I put out. Anytime you're going to be discussing anything with a lawyer, remember, there's usually two sides to every legal issue, well, there always are, and that's why we have appellate courts to mess it up even further. But, investigate who you're talking to. Don't trust your family, yourself, your friends to an attorney who does not know the law and the inside issues to the topics such as cannabis. NORML has a list of the NORML Legal Committee. You can get it off of their website for whatever state, city you need help in. And if there's not one listed for the particular place you're at, call someone who's close. We'll get you to somebody who cares. Keith, these guys aren't going to let us just get on there to advertise. We have to know what we're talking about. We have to care about the people. If I don't care for you, then why should you care for me to be your lawyer? The one thing I wanted to always do this, I can get off topic, but it's not really off topic, but off my topic. Yes, it's important for us to be involved politically, but it's more important, I believe, for us to be involved with the people at the grocery store, the guy who gives me my taco at Taco Bell, anyone I run into anywhere. I just start talking to them about the issue of why are they putting people in cages because they choose to use a gift from God. It blows me away. And yes, having been a police officer, I can tell you it is so racially based against minorities. But then, you know what? What's the percentage of guys like you who are also being targeted by the police? 100%. So, for someone who's involved in the activity, you're at 100% anyway. So, yes, it's bad that there's a racial disparity, but it's the number one rule is it's bad just because of what it is. I wear cannabis shirts everywhere I go. I talk to district court judges, politicians. I just ask them, if your mom or dad is going to get dementia, would you like it to, or Alzheimer's, would we like them to start crapping in their pants in 2 years or in 6 or 8 years? Because cannabis can delay the effects. Just educate yourselves. I'm speaking to the choir here, of course, because you are here, but we have to start reaching out to more of the Joe Blow citizens, especially if somebody ever needs you to help them. Then you got them where you need them, because then you got their ear. One of the messages I send out is do not be intimidated by the police. If you're going to get busted, you're going to get busted. Don't drive around all full of anxiety. Don't be stupid. Don't drive when you're, intoxicated on anything. I got intoxicated on a beef burrito last week. I didn't drive for an hour. Who I am, I was in law enforcement from 77 to 90. Former undercover vice cop. I saw the light in 92 and became an attorney. For 11, 12 years, I worked some of the most violent cases. I was into all that stuff and bad felonies. And I was getting disappointed in where life was going because of the, where's the happiness level in life and in what you're doing. So I decided to write down the 10 names of the people that I would want, of my clients who I'd want to have living as my neighbor or as a roommate. And by the time I got down to number 5, it was either all possession of marijuana or DWI people. And then the rest of the list finished out the same way because they're neighbors, they're family, they're friends. We have made them into criminals by titling something. It's pathetic. Anyway, so I became the dude in 03 because nobody can spell Balagia, but they can remember 420 dude, they can remember DWI dude when they do a computer search. I'm involved with High Times, NORML, through advertising and assisting people who need our help. I do speak nationally on the issue of drug to drive. Consider myself, like you guys, to be a warrior in the war against drugs. And that's what we need to concentrate on. This is a little funny thing about what's coming down the pipe. You know, this is my first DUI for the alcohol industry. Well, what's coming down the pipe for us? And of course, I like to say pipe. It's a cash cow for law enforcement. It's gigantic. Someone, maybe Keith was saying, in San Antonio, officers that make $50,000 a year make $140,000 a year, strictly working DWI, and that's for not just alcohol, it's for whatever a DWI consists of. So when you can triple your salary by making subjective arrest, that's what's going to start happening, because DWI pot is not going to be about possessing it. It's going to be about an officer making a subjective decision that you are under the influence. You know that campaign, drink, drive, go to jail. I'm saying it's soon going to equal drive, go to jail. I put out an ad here this past month, said drink, drive, go through hell. Hell no, call me. But the users are going to start seeing this happen big time. NHTSA has allocated millions of dollars to states to start DRE programs, the ones that don't have them, or to increase in the ones that do have them. DRE, I'll talk to you in a minute about what that is. The DUI traffic stop. This is what police officers use. And I'm just giving this presentation really because a lot of people think they know what's happening, but they're a little off, or they don't know at all, or they watch TV. Charlie's Angels doesn't teach you how to stop from going to jail 8 hours after you smoked a joint. The cops are looking for a vehicle in motion. That's what they call it. It's one of the three stages. They're looking for any traffic violation that gives them the right to pull you over. Weaving or unusual actions is not a traffic violation, but they'll pull you over and they'll twist the truth and say it's community caretaking. Oh, I thought they might be sick or injured, so I pulled them over for their protection. Well, you know, they pull me over for my protection because I have a onward through the fog bumper sticker on my Excursion, you know, or my, you know, make marijuana legal. They're concerned about me for that, but I never carry. I just don't put myself in that position. If y'all hear that I got busted, it got planted, and then it's going to really be a war. They're looking for distracted driving, cell phones, you know, texting, some of the things we were talking about yesterday, slapping the kid upside the head in the back seat. Well, they're just looking for a reason to stop you. That's what they're looking for. And there are levels you have to reach as a cop. You know, people are always asking, were you on a quota system? I said, well, you know what? If I turned in 2 tickets and that guy turned in 10 every day, yeah, I better get up to 10 or I don't get the vacations I asked for, I don't get the overtime I asked for, and other incentive programs like that. So, furtive movements, I just want to tell you, do not drive around with substances burning in your ashtray or sitting next to you in a seat. If it's in open view, it can be, anybody can look at it, including the police. At nighttime, they can use flashlights. But, you know, I used to get behind somebody, I'd turn on the lights, and, you know, you see them look like, man, they're digging all over the place. They're in their crotch, they're under their seat. It's like, please, what are you doing? Just, let me write you a warning too for speeding, because I didn't bust people. And I didn't make a lot of DWI arrests when I was a cop, because that's just, we were cool back then. Austin was the only city in Texas, major department, that did not polygraph on drug use. So you can imagine what kind of officers we had in the 70s and 80s. But now they do. So times have changed. The personal contact is the next stage you get to. And this all comes down to when the officer walks up to you, he's looking at your car, he's looking in your car, he's looking at you, and then he's gonna, what does he smell and what does he hear? You know, if the guy in the back seat's telling the guy in the front seat, stick it under the seat, and the cop's walking up, he's gonna investigate it. So just think that, just like you walking around into any environment, do not do things, and tell your friends, do not do things that encourage a search. Don't do, and this, of course, is just, how do you prove the police officer smelled anything? You know, I've asked cops in the stand when they've stopped my clients because they smelled the odor of fresh marijuana. They completely search the car, they find nothing, but you know what? That just means the suspect got rid of the drugs right before I stopped him. The smell was still lingering. They're never wrong. The dog hits are never wrong, you know, which is complete and utter garbage. I'm not even going to go into canine searches. But it's probably smart if you're going to carry around some old fish in your car, you might want to put it in a Teflon container so that it's just not overwhelmingly smelling. So just be smart. Again, in things that you say, answers you give, the Fifth Amendment gives us the right to remain silent. After personal contact, if the cop gets you out of the car, you're going to jail if he thinks you're DWI already, or he wouldn't get you out of the car. If it's a possession case that he may be digging towards, he's going to use this as a subterfuge to get to you in that direction. The first thing I tell people to ask after you provide your driver's license and insurance card, am I under arrest? If the officer does anything other than write a ticket and ask you ticket information, am I under arrest? Hey, where have you been? Sir, am I under arrest? What I tell them, because I'm an attorney, I go, it's none of your business where I've been. It's none of your business where I'm going. Write my ticket. I got places to be. Now, I could get real bold, and plus they're not going to find an ounce in my glove box, I hope, unless they put it there. So, you can get as bold, but not arrogant. I'm cool in how I say it. It's like, look, guy, come on, I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I'm ready to go. They know that. But unfortunately, people get intimidated by the cops. It's a fear factor right here now. It's the black glove syndrome. I don't like it. I wouldn't last one day in cadet class. They'd throw me out. So find out if you're under arrest. And if you're under arrest, leave. When the DPS does this all the time, they'll write you a warning and they'll turn and then they'll say, excuse me, you're not carrying any drugs or weapons on you, are you? You know what? Am I under arrest? As a matter of fact, I'm already pulling away. As soon as he gives me my ticket, I'm gone. Because once you stay and open your mouth, you have now voluntarily consented to an encounter, a police encounter. They can walk in this, it's public. They can walk in here right now and sit down and start talking to any one of us about anything. If we choose to talk back, we're foolish, okay? If we're holding anything that's illegal. Don't cooperate. Why? If a cop walks up to me and starts talking to me, he better be asking me for my business card, or else I'm gone. And that's the way everyone should treat them. In Texas, you're under arrest when the police officer says so. So he'll keep asking and asking. He's already hit arrest point. But if I arrest you as a police officer, now I've got to read you your Miranda rights, which say you have the right to remain silent. not cooperate with the investigation, have a right to a lawyer, which you don't really. But all right, if I don't say you're under arrest, then I can just keep asking questions without giving you your rights, because technically, by the Supreme Court, they're morons in this. You're not under arrest until the cop says in his mind, okay, now you're under arrest. Well, there ought to be more of a standard so the citizen can know at what point does he have enough to say you're under arrest. And Miranda kicks in once you're under arrest, so then shut up and get a qualified lawyer. Cheap lawyers are not good. Good and better lawyers are not cheap. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. We got a lot of bills. I pay a lot of money to go to classes, to come up here and speak, because we give, those of us that do this, in care. So, don't hire somebody who you think you're saving $2,000 and it ends up costing you a fortune for the rest of your life. I'm going to talk about the golden goose of DUID, which is DWI, but driving under the influence of drugs. It's the SFST program, the Standardized Sobriety Test. They're divided attention tests. They're designed to confuse you. They're designed to make you lose your balance. The three main tests are HGN. We call it here goes nothing. In marijuana, it's not present. So if I arrest you for DWI because I smell a beer in your breath, or if I see HGN, that should say technically you have not been smoking marijuana. Cops won't, your lawyer's got to know how to do this. They'll still arrest you, take you down. If you take the breath test, you blow under an 08, then they'll say, oh, let's get his blood because we're looking for marijuana now. You can't have your cake and eat it too, though, as an officer. Did you arrest him for 5 minutes? Okay. The one leg stand, the walk and turn test, you're going to fail it. The one leg stand, you're going to fail it. Let's see, the penalties basically for felonies, it's from 2 years to 10 years on a third-degree felony. And this is DWI. That means you've gotten 2 alcohol DWIs and then they stop you for a pot DWI. It's a felony. And there's a bunch of things you'll be excluded from doing. Possessing a gun, can't run for office. Sit on a jury, you can't vote. There's a bunch of ancillary penalties. You ought to know this stuff. Go to dwidude.com, go to 420dude.com, and read up on this stuff. The statutory provisions, if you get a DWI pot the first time, you can go to jail from up to 6 months and up to a $2,000 fine. A surcharge from DPS, to have a license, it just never ends, and the conditions of probation are horrible. To get arrested, a cop needs reasonable suspicion to pull you over, probable cause to make an arrest, which really just means you probably did this crime that I think you're committing. Preponderance of the evidence, that's when you get in a car crash, it's who's got greater 50% or plus a hair. Clear and convincing, that's to take away your children, then reasonable doubt. So to get beyond reasonable doubt, juries will help you. They will nullify the state's charge if we will get out here and start getting people to understand we're not trolls, we're not killing people, we're not chopping heads off. We know what's causing that. I'll just tell you this, if you get accused of a crime, the Jury Project found that 68% of the people showing up, not even going to the courthouse yet, 68% say they would vote guilty at that point. For DWI, it's 78%. Then the owner of the company went through these tens of thousands of surveys. They removed everyone who would be disqualified as jurors. And the rate went up to 78% for all crimes, 88% for driving under the influence of whatever. I'll just let you know that alcohol-related fatalities, if I'm driving sober, you're driving sober, but you're bringing your friend home who was drinking too much and you're the designated driver, I run into your car because the red light malfunctions, that's a DWI or alcohol-related fatality because somebody in the vehicle that was alcohol-related. It's crazy. And if they'll twist that on DWI, alcohol, what are they going to do to drug? The government says that 18,000 deaths were reported last year, very few in the low range, but the Los Angeles Times went through and removed all the questionable deaths and said the numbers are about 5,000. Responsibility in DUI law said it's actually around 3,000. This is the definition of cow pegging. That's us. We're being porked. We don't even know it. We're the cow. Government's the pig. This has worked so well for alcohol DWI. Can you imagine what they're going to do with, you know, one puff of marijuana? You know, you're the guy who's going to mow down all the kids. DRE is drug recognition expert. That's the guy who says you are under the influence of a drug. They put you through a 12-step program. Isn't that a coincidence? The 11th step is after you've been cooperating this whole time. This is for the morons who sit there and answer these questions, do all these tests, let the cops take their temperature and their pulse and how their skin feels. Then they ask them, well, what did you do? What did you take tonight? Well, I smoked some weed. Then the 12th step is the cop guesses what he thinks you're on. Well, what do you think the percentage is of those guys being correct? It's about 44% when the toxic report comes back. Even when you're telling the cop what you took, they're messing up and writing down the wrong thing. So it used to be called drug recognition technician, but they didn't like being referred to as the dirt cops. So it's just craziness. If you'll go to if you'll Google Washington State DR, when you feel like reading one night, you can read all this stuff. It will blow your mind when you see this stuff. How will the effect of Colorado and Washington change the nation when other states start making legalization an issue? Well, Washington says at 5 nanograms, you are presumptively held to be, per se, you're intoxicated by weed. That's crazy. 5 nanograms is crazy. I saw a guy drop 5 nanograms a minute ago when he was rolling something up. Colorado almost went with presumptive, saying it's presumed, but a good lawyer can come in and push that back. I call it a tug of war instead of a football game, because that's what it seems like it is, with the rope around our neck. State toxicologists are saying that people are impaired at 3. They're crazy, they're insane. Any good toxicologist who's not a government whore will say that's completely wrong. I just want to tell you, George Sharman's a lawyer out of San Antonio. He and I went in together and spent $14,000 for this ad just to tell people, no refusal does not mean you can't refuse. Refuse. And refuse is another way of saying standing up for your rights. I write articles. Carly and I wrote this one for the 420 Forum. We mentioned Keith in there and talked about just how 420 came about. I write these articles because people will read them in the coffee shops and in the bars and stuff. This one's about how to avoid getting busted. I wrote one on stop snitching. That's, number one rule if you're in possession: do not admit to anything, don't consent to anything, and never, ever snitch. Go talk to a good lawyer. We were taught to tell people, if you go see a lawyer, all deals are off. Well, they weren't all off. The lawyer made sure if there was going to be a deal, that it was in a client's best interest. I am adamantly against snitching. I do marketing stuff. This is for this basketball tournament. Just telling people, you better know what you are doing. Here I talk about remember your Fourth Amendment rights, protect yourself. How many of y'all know what the Fourth Amendment says? Get on a Google search and go, what does the Fourth Amendment mean to me? Can I say no to the cops? Look, they're putting people's pictures in those magazines and selling them in the 7-Elevens. I put out a deal, wear it proud, wear it loud. I gave out these Fiesta medals because I want people talking. It gets people talking. That's what we've got to do to change our laws. We don't even have to change our laws. If the jury will sit there and go, I'm not convicting this guy and ruining his future. I've got a lot of not guilties on regular DWIs because after the way they saw the cops' investigation and they saw the damage it does to you the rest of your life, they're even busting Santa. Juries are saying, no, we're not going to convict, or they're hanging the jury, and then the state doesn't want to try it again. Let me see. You got to have pretty girls. I raced through this, but I need to give back time here. That was when you can't see it real well, that's when I was a cop. Bad sunglasses, gun pointed at you and all that crap. I wasn't smiling a lot back then. And most people considered me a pretty cool cop. And then I got out and joined the world and was like, golly, I'm not that cool. Well, I'm cool now. I'm smiling now. But I'm very encouraged by the bills that did not get where they should have gotten this year. At least they were on the table. At least they got worked on. At least people are listening. But we have got to get our friends and neighbors to come around. And you can get them to. You got to talk to them. Where's the timekeeper at? I'll talk. Any questions about being arrested? The law. On deliveries, if it's a quarter ounce or more in Texas, it's a felony. If you deliver a quarter ounce or more, 5 pounds is the real kicker, though, to get you into felony territory and possession. Yes, Keith?
Your point about what to say when you're arrested, I think is terribly important. Am I under arrest? Could I suggest the second part of that is, am I free?
Yeah. Am I free to leave?
You're either under arrest or you're free to leave.
And great point, because when you ask that, am I free to leave, and they say no, then just, you've got another question. Oh, then I'm under arrest. No, I'm just detaining you. I mean, they've got videos and audio recording devices now in San Antonio, about a third of them do, but everywhere else around Central Texas, they're on all the time. Say smart things. You know, I want to talk to a lawyer before I answer any questions. Am I free to leave? Am I under arrest? Just ask them. If they lie, a jury's going to see that. Juries don't like that. When cops lie, that's an investigative tool. When citizens lie, it's a crime. Yes?
Does it do me any good to put anything in my trunk as opposed to my glove box or lock my glove box? As opposed to under my seat?
There's a Supreme Court case now that says a guy got out of his car, parked it legally, got out of it, locked it, and the cops went out and he found out he had warrants. A warrant will get them just about into anything. But he had gotten away from his car. There was no attenuation, no connection, I pulled him over and he was in his car. And the Supreme Court has said they cannot go back in that car. So, locked glove box, trunk, in something back there that's locked up. Now, if they pull you over in a traffic stop and say they smell marijuana, though, they have the right to go into anything they want. But if they have to go into locked containers, that gives us great legal arguments. I'm off. Thank y'all very much.